Hey everyone, welcome to episode 264, Mother Hunger. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. So this term I heard, it literally knocked me off my feet when I heard it. I was like, what the? And before I dive in, I want to talk to you about pocket coaching, which is a great way for us to connect on the go. You tell me all your problems. I'll tell you all the solutions. I'll make your problems go from a foot-long sub to a 6-inch sub, more manageable, and it's on the go. Go to coachingkelly.com, sign up under the Work With Me tab, and we can work together via Boxer. So this mother hunger term I heard through a Bethany Frankel video. Now, I don't know if you know Bethany Frankel. She's a reality star. I think she's absolutely hilarious. She's very controversial. Sometimes I'm like, you cannot be saying what you're saying right now. Are you actually? I think she's almost like a shock jock. Like things she says, my jaw's on the floor. Like, what? But I do like the way she tells a story. And I think she's very, very quick-witted. And I think she's hilarious. And I also think she's annoying. So the underbelly of her awesomeness is that she can be so annoying and she can also be so hard-headed, but then she'll be like, I'm so hard-headed. So when she admits that she's hard-headed, it almost makes her less hard-headed. You know what I mean? So she just lost her mother tragically. And the way that she talks about her mother is so honest and so real and so raw. So I'm going to let you listen to it. And then the other side of it, I'm going to talk to you about mother hunger.
So my mother passed away 2 days ago, Friday morning. She had one friend who was friends with her for 11 years. She called me. I soon realized, first of all, I was so happy that she had a friend. And I soon realized that this friend didn't really understand anything about the fractures in our relationship. And I realized that my mother never really was accountable to anything that happened, which I don't know if I had gone there towards the end and sat next to her and talked to her and played old music and things like that. And that's, believe me, a lot of what's going through my head right now. But I am, if you read my Instagram post, I'm sure you did, or my TikTok post, you kind of get some of it. And a lot of you are reliving your own traumas, and Mother's Day is coming up. And so I am going to share just a bit of what I went through, because what's crazy is that you would never, the experience that I've had, the emotional accident that I feel like I've been in since this news Friday is nothing like I would have ever expected. And I really do tell you, even if you hate someone who's been connected to you in a way that is supposed to be perceived or received as love, or they hate you, or you think they hate you based on whatever their traumas are, you should connect with them on some way, on some level, because I will tell you that I thought the divorce was the most traumatic experience. This on the heels of that is almost debilitating, but this has been the most extraordinary, unexpected release that I've ever had in my life, because in all of these years of going to therapy or failed relationships, or Ramona telling me I'm going to be alone on a bridge, or beating myself up, or feeling like something was missing and I've been cheating myself in therapy and not really going deep, or when I was married to Peter and I went to therapy and couldn't go there, just couldn't go there. In all of that time, there's no therapist that could bring out what's come out. And what's happening is something very unique. And I'm literally in my childhood. It's like they do this with like mushrooms and like ketamine or like things like that, where they I guess bring you back in some way. So this death has put me in my childhood, a place that I've never wanted to go back to in my life, but need to give myself some grace and compassion. And so when I wrote that I was mourning her loss, I'm mourning her loss because what a poor soul and spirit and life. Like, my mother was so breathtakingly beautiful. When I tell you that I wanted so much from her, like I got tiny glimpses and like wanted so much more. If you ever saw the show Firefly Lane, my friend Terry's so mad. She's like, they stole your life for that show. Not every bit of it, but like it's very much, it's like shockingly triggering because it's like that's that vibe, that 70s vibe, and that mother who was like gorgeous and making every wrong choice. So my mother, and I bring up her beauty for a very specific reason, and I'm going to get there. My mother was spectacular, like so gorgeous that it was like frightening to people, and everyone was in love with her. And she later, when it was like in the, the years of like maybe her late 20s and 30s, looked like Michelle Pfeiffer. And when she was young, she looked like Sharon Tate. And people are now saying Bryn looks like her, which is like it's been the most beautiful result of this because I saw it the second I pulled out her pictures and I've never thought of it before. I don't think of her that much. So she was stunningly beautiful. And it was actually her curse in a way. Like, she left her house. She left her very abusive house, very abusive father, very scathing, biting. So you guys know I can be biting. And my mother was way more biting, and her mother was so scathingly biting. My mother's sister died. My mother's sister, I think she punched a parent. No, she punched my mother and knocked her down the stairs, I think, or something. Her sister died too. And her sister's children, they reached out, Kelly, Christy, Ryan. They all had a similar experience, except that they had a grounded father. I had a stepfather and a father that were as horrific, if not worse than the experiences I've had with my mother. So I hit the trifecta of parents. But her beauty was like debilitating, I think, because and all she wanted to do was be a model, but she was too short. And all her sister wanted to do was be a jockey, but she was too tall. Literally, she was in the horse business. Like my grandfather and my father and my stepfather. My mother's father was a horse trainer also. No one would ever realize that. That's how my mother found her way into these degenerate men's lives, because the racetrack is no place for a woman. And she found it because of her father, which is why the one thing that she imparted to me is never, ever marry someone from the racetrack. Never, ever marry someone from the racetrack, like from a small child. And as an adult, and if you know anything about the racetrack, I know why she said it. It ruined her life, her father. So her family was very abusive, and she left her abusive household, and she just went on a journey as a result, I'm sure, of her abusive household, of not only choosing the wrong men, like folding into the wrong men for how much they worshiped and adored her. They were all abusive. They were all exploitative. And the big characters in her life were vanity, which is why I mentioned her beauty, vanity, and a lifelong eating disorder that was ultimately her child. Vanity with an eating disorder, addiction and substance abuse, and money. Money was such a main character in her life. And the one thing I will say is her saying to me, never marry someone from the racetrack, and her always, always having issues with money, or telling me that she stayed with men for money, or that she gave up her life for me, or that she stayed with these men because of me. Money was a recurring factor in this entire lifetime. My mother's reliance on abusive men and her staying with them for financial support is probably why I made it my life's intention to never have to rely on a man for financial support, and something that I also impart on my daughter every day. It's the ultimate freedom. And my childhood was, I went to like 13 different schools. And as I've been reliving this, I've been like back in my houses, and there were different houses in different eras with different friends. The hellhole era was like in Forest Hills and Long Island. And this is where the suicide attempts and the physical abuse, and, she would go out till all hours of the night and come home and smash the window in when she wasn't. My stepfather was the one watching me because she really wasn't around much. And then they would get into a very terrible fight, and he would smash and beat her with the phone, one of those like old little half moon looking phones that has that coiled cord, and he would beat her and come in and scream to me. And it's the first time I ever heard the C word. I remember it like it was yesterday, him saying that she's a C and that look what she does to me. And the cops would come. I think it was sometimes the neighbors. Sometimes it was me, but the cops would come. The neighbors would call the cops. And it's funny because my girlfriend yesterday said that Craig Siegel, who is my neighbor, that as an adult, he said we used to worry about her. And Jennifer Kane lived across the street in Long Island, and it was a hellhole. I remember once I set like paper on tissue on fire in this small room, like probably wanted to set the house on fire. And what was crazy was that my room was always immaculate. My mother was an interior designer, and my room was immaculate, like perfectly designed. And the rest of the house, every other room in the house was completely empty. We ate off a card table. We had a parakeet. I don't know why I remember that, but we did. And I think we had like kittens and cats. When I went to college, I just didn't want anything to do with this anymore. But like my mother did love me in her way. And so I felt like I had to be connected to her. Not had to, wanted to. She started to get like meaner. There was just a change in her face and in her life. Even when she was young and when she was drinking and she was a bulimic, it was like she still had that beauty and that freshness about her that like, everybody was scared of her, the Virginia Slims and the Tab, and like it was still sexy. It looked like some 70s ad. And then she started to like now I realize you can still look beautiful at 40, and 50, but like this is when it started. You started to see it, like it was destroying her. Whatever it was, all of this toxins and self-destruction was destroying her and like eating her alive. But you can't see it. You can't intervene in your own life. Like it's just, and I saw her differently, and her meanness was just different. And she did nice things. She found me an apartment while I was in France to get a studio apartment in New York City. And she wrote me letters, and she was so excited that I was coming back and we were going to have holidays together. And she took a couch, and my friend Melissa Levine, who I spoke to yesterday, remembers that she like staple gunned fabric to this couch that she had in our days of having like beautifully designed things. And it was in my apartment. I don't want to make it like she didn't love me, and she didn't. And she was so hilarious and so brilliant and so wild and so electric. And I understand why men have fallen in love with her. I understand why so many men have fallen in love with me. I have a part of her that is that. And there's a lot of me in her. And sometimes I look at my face in the mirror and I see her, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it scares me. And I've been going through all of this in her death, and I have no anger. I wish I could have found a way to connect to her later in life. Bryn begged me, I want to meet your mama. I want to meet your mama. And I didn't want to do it. I kept saying it was in a drawer. And I thought one day she would pass and it would just be like nothing happened. I really, really thought that. There's nothing, and I'm sorry, no disrespect to men or sons, there's nothing like a mother and a daughter bond. There's just nothing like what it represents and what it's supposed to be. And so I didn't think it was going to be this kind of experience, like this emotional accident, like a trauma, like bringing all this together. And I realized why I've had such a challenge with relationships, because I've never like addressed this. And I've been, years ago, there was a People magazine article saying my baby saved me and that I was unlovable. And part of me feels that's true. I've always felt flawed and damaged, and like, every time I meet someone, it's like they're going to judge my childhood and like, why doesn't she have parents and why doesn't she speak to her family? And I had no brothers and sisters either, so I really was alone. And it's like self-conscious. And I'm self-conscious with Bryn too. I want her to have a family. I want her to have people around her. I love that she gets to go do the barbecues and the family reunions with her father and his parents. Like I want that for her. She deserves that. I have that from my friends, but I don't really have that for myself. And this has brought up not only everything. And so I was looking through pictures. I wanted to get pictures. I want to represent her as the beautiful woman that she was, because that was important to her and it was true. People worshiped her. And so I was looking through pictures, and then I still can't find the one. There's a picture of like the day when I was a little kid that I remember being happy. Like I remember a nature day and I just remember it. I don't know why I remember this day and I can't find the picture representing that day. And I remember a picture of her when she looked like Michelle Pfeiffer at the racetrack and I couldn't find that. So many of you have, addiction issues in your family too. And I feel you. I feel all of it. And so I'm hoping, and I just want you to know that this is a lot, and I know that it's a lot, and I really haven't had any place to put it. And I've been writing, and I've been thinking, and I've been listening to a lot of music and walking. Walking, if you're going through something, walking is so helpful. I just walk outside my house, water, hot bath, cold shower, like water's helpful. And I do believe that you have to go through it. And I just hope that my healing process will help yours, because it's been all this toxins stuck inside of me. And this woman, I was reading this article that this woman, Barbie Adler, she was quoted and she was saying that to get into a relationship, you have to be a person that you'd want to be in a relationship with, like yourself, your full self. And I was thinking about how I haven't been my full self. I don't know how I could have been my full self with all this stuff. And it's weird, the things I'm thinking about. It's weird thinking about Ramona on the bridge saying to me, you're going to, you won't be loved, or you have no friends, or things like that, because those kind of things hurt, but they're also why I have very few friends, why I have close friends. I don't trust anybody, and I keep my circle very tight, because the defining, original, trusting relationships that mold you and give you the foundation to have future trusting relationships, I didn't have. I didn't even have role models. I didn't have that like attachment feeling. I was alone. I've been alone my entire life. So that's why I'm alone a lot now.
So when she was talking about her mother, I was like, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. My jaw was on the floor, because she describes that need and that desire so desperately for her. And she didn't have it. So she kind of had to like fend for herself. And then someone in the comments said, Bethany, look up mother hunger. This is exactly what you have or had. And I was like, mother hunger? What the? Mother hunger? Say that 3 times. Mother hunger, mother hunger, mother hunger. I don't know why it's so funny, because it sounds like I'm saying a bad word. And I Googled it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be one for the podcast. People, listen up. Mother hunger, there's a whole book about it. Kelly McDaniel Therapy. I was like, and this could be for father hunger too, for sure. And I talked about this in Daddy Issues a lot. So I think daddy issues it's brought up a lot, but mother issues do not get brought up as much, because you hear, oh, yeah, she has daddy issues. He has daddy issues. He has mommy issues. You don't hear that as much. Maybe because it doesn't roll off the tongue, but it's not like a general term. So mother hunger, I went to the Googles, and this is from kellymcdanieltherapy.com. Says mothers provide daughters and sons too with 3 important developmental needs. I think this is mostly talking about females, but it could apply to guys too. This could go to dads too. Mothers provide daughters with 3 important developmental needs: nurturing, protection, and guidance. If any one of these 3 is missing, a daughter grows up with an achy loneliness that distorts her self-concept and capacity for healthy relationships. I call this mother hunger. Drop the mic. What the? I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to help so many people. Because I think sometimes when you can get an awareness about what's going on, then you can see where the ego is being roared and the ego is just being attacked viciously. If you have a daughter and you have mother hunger issues, or if you have a son and you have mother hunger issues, because sometimes we desperately want it as a child, we couldn't have it. So then we desperately try to seek it through our own children. And then when we can't get it there, that's where a lot of our ego and a lot of our screaming. And that's where we're like, I just lost it, Kelly. I don't know what happened. It's so hard in the moment. When we say those kinds of things, we know that something else is running in the background. And when we know something that's either daddy issues or mother hunger or childhood wounds, when we can unwind that and disconnect that, it doesn't have such a triggering power over us. It will still trigger you, but not to the place where you're losing your mind. So let me know what you think about mother hunger. If you have mother hunger issues, it could apply to any family member. It could apply to a grandparent. If you have that, or if you've had that in your life, let me know. Reply to my email. Send me a Facebook. Send me an Instagram. Send me a bird pigeon message. However you want to let me know how this resonated with you and how you're going to disconnect it so you can have more harmony in your home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp. where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.